Hello, this is Slowater coming at you live from Slowater Acres. I'm back up here in Northern California Sierras on this beautiful 50-degree day. It's been raining in the 40s up here, but still ride the bike. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about this bike. 2024 Panigale V2 Super Quadro. This is the last of the Panigales before they came out with the new one. So this has more horsepower. It's got the clip-ons. It's got the single-sided. So this is what I think is the epitome of the Panigale V2. It's got the most horsepower, most performance. It is a track bike that's been made to ride on the road. So this bike here, unfortunately, it's been in the dealership for about 3.5 months, 4 months. They basically took the whole thing apart. It stopped running, it wouldn't start. So basically, long story short, the front cylinder had zero compression. So the valves weren't seating, and the root cause of the valves not seating, I mean, basically the engine just didn't run. And that was after 13,000 miles in less than 2 years, because both these bikes have 13,000 miles on them. So I bought these both at the same time. They're both 2024 Super Quadro Panigales, exact, almost one serial number apart. So they're exact bikes that have slightly different problems. So this one's okay, and this one had a problem with the front cylinder head, where the valve seat. So basically, they took this whole bike. I have pictures. I will see if I can attach them on here. It was just completely, didn't look like a motorcycle. It was all in bits and pieces. So it was in the shop for like basically 4 months, since July until I just got it back a few days ago. So they probably did about $15,000 to $20,000 worth of work on it. So basically they took the whole thing apart and rebuilt everything. So thank you, Ducati. They took care of a customer. So I have 3 Ducatis. Got the Diablo V4, which is awesome. That's got 40,000 miles on it, or maybe 35,000. I just got the valve job. This thing runs awesome. This one runs awesome. The other V2. This one now runs awesome. It always ran awesome until it didn't, and then they fixed it. First they thought it was a spark plug wire, then the spark plug, and then they thought it was a bad fuel, then they thought it was contaminated fuel filter, which it wasn't. And so they went through a lot of debugging. So it originally went down for not starting. I mean, it would turn over, it wouldn't run, basically. So it would start. Oh yeah, so this is what they do. They replaced and inspected the evaporation fuel canister, swapped out the spark plugs, then they swapped out the spark plug wires. And this is all over like 3 or 4 months, because there was a lot of back and forth with the Ducati factory. Spent extensive amount of time trying to get spark plugs to work. All right, so obviously it wasn't a spark plug. Basically what it was, on the top, you got to take the whole thing apart, and on the top of the cylinder, there's the top of the cylinder head with a valve seat, and that the surface was warped for some reason. So when the valve would come down, it would not seat, and hence you get zero compression. Or how they would say it was 97% leaking, which basically means there's no seal, so it couldn't combust. So they replaced the spark plug wire, did all this stuff, swapped map sensors, retuned it, rechecked. I mean, they did a lot of work. So this is like 2 months into it. They still didn't figure out what it was. Then they did a leak down test. That's when they showed it was 90% leaking. This is over like weeks. So then the front valve, they adjusted all the valves. That didn't fix it. And then they removed the cylinder valve seats, and both intake valves were not sealed along with one of the exhausts. So 2 of the intake valves and the exhaust valves were not seating. So that whole top of the cylinder, I guess, is one piece. Somehow it had warped or something, and so when the valves were coming down. So then they disassembled, this is what it says, disassembled whole bike, and believe me, they disassembled it. You couldn't even tell it was a motorcycle. It was just, there were pieces all over, all over, man. Since there's no frame, it's almost, you can't tell it's a motorcycle. So then they, basically it says they replaced the whole front cylinder. So they put the whole cylinder, put it all back together, replaced everything, took it for a ride. Then, interesting thing, the coolant sensor failed. After they fixed it and the bike ran, it was running fine, and then when they test drove it for 30 miles, the coolant sensor short-circuited. So I think that's probably what caused the whole problem originally, is that the coolant thermistor short-circuited, so it thought there was no, it didn't know what the temperature was. So I guess this thing thought it was a low temp, so it probably overheated itself because the sensor was bad, because it was getting low temperature, so it wasn't cooling the system, I don't think, properly. That's my guess. And so after they fixed it, it threw that error again, and then so that was the root cause in my mind, because I don't know if you know, I got a PhD in physics from UCLA, and I'm a rocket engineer, system engineer. So the root cause in my mind, I do this sort of thing all the time, but for rockets, missile systems, root cause. So the failure is really not usually what the root cause is, because the failure is just the symptom. So in this case, I think, yeah, it caused a lot of damage, but the root cause, I think, was that thermal sensor and the coolant, and that didn't let the bike cool properly. There's probably valves. I don't know what the architecture is for the coolant, but probably something wasn't cooling properly, because the sensor was not reading back the correct temperature, and so it had all these problems. So Ducati fixed it. This is the whole list of parts here. There's a bunch of list of parts. Spark plug wiring harness, O-ring, cylinder head gaskets, valve covers, copper gaskets, O-rings. I think they replaced the rings in they replaced, I think, the piston, exhaust valve they replaced, stud bolts, exhaust pipe they replaced, all under, I mean, it's a lot of stuff. This is probably $15,000 to $20,000 worth of work, because it was in there for, like I said, 3.5 months, and it was ripped apart. It was a lot of work. It almost looked like one of those pictures where you see the Ducati factory tour, and there's like boxes of bolts and nuts and gears, and there's tires and brakes and brake pads and bits and pieces. That's what, look, it was just all over in bins. It was crazy. So anyways, that's the story. So this bike is fixed. I took it I rode it home 50 miles and it was fine. It runs fine. So we got it fixed for the winter vacation. My 2 sons are coming back from college, so we're going to go ripping around on these 2 bikes. This one, so basically, with all that said, it basically had the Desmo service. So I think I basically got the Desmo service for free, which is $2,500. So thank you, Ducati. And I really appreciate Ducati for standing behind their bikes. I mean, I told people, everyone tells me, yeah, aren't you afraid about the reliability? I know. We've never had really problems until it wouldn't start. I mean, so it was kind of a soft failure in that mode. It wasn't like a catastrophic, but it failed, so it just wouldn't start. This bike, never a problem. The only problem I had with this one, it was 2,000 miles into the brand new bike, the chain and sprockets were out for some reason, which I don't know. I took care of that. It wasn't a big, I don't think that was Ducati's fault. That might have been some setup issue from the assembly of it. This Diablo V4's got 35,000. I just had the valve job done on that. This thing, man, it rips. So these bikes all have new tires, new chain. They're all like brand new bikes now. Yeah, and that's my Kawasaki 2025 ZX-10R I love. Some other bikes, but yeah, I'm just airing them out because it's been raining a lot, so I wanted to get the bikes out, and since I got so many bikes, it's hard to ride them all. I got to rotate, so I have been Leaning pretty heavily on the Kawasaki. I put some Road 6 tires on there because I ride this bike when it rains. So this is my rain bike. So I was actually on the freeway here and it was raining. I was going 105 miles per hour on the Interstate 80. Felt like dry pavement, man. These Road 6 tires are really good. The only thing you gotta do on these sport bikes, since they're light, these tires are made for heavier cruisers. You know, the guys that load all the stuff on it and go cross country and adventure bikes. So what you got to do is you got to run them at lower PSI. When I first got them, they were at the recommended PSI, which is way too hard. So the bike was really twitchy. So I just lowered the pressure, 30 in the back and 30 in the front. 30 is usually pretty good for sport bike street, because the track bikes run at like 20 in the back and like 25 in the front PSI. And like the street tires say you're supposed to be 42 and 36. So I just run 30 because these are light bikes. The sport bikes are light, so you don't have to go the full pressure. Like if you're on a Harley or a big Goldwing, yeah, they're heavy. They're 600 pounds, 700 pounds. You need the full pressure. But in these lighter bikes, you don't need the 20 PSI because that's for the racetrack. I mean, you could run that. I don't care. But 30 is about safe. 30 is good, and I mean it makes the bike handle better because the tires are part of the suspension, so you get a little bit more suspension spring action out of the tires, and then also with the rake angle of these bikes, it makes it more stable because you're getting more drag on the bottom of the tread, and it's making the bike want to ride straighter and easier. It's not as twitchy. And then also when you turn, if you just let off the throttle, you're getting basically trail braking for free, because with the extra rolling resistance from the lower pressure, you just get a natural, really nice trail braking effect. And you can use the engine brake and the throttle, and then with the not the low tire pressure, but the lower than rated, you'll be surprised. It really helps for street use. It's good. I mean, I think it's the best of all worlds. I mean, if your bike's too twitchy, or especially a new rider, a new rider should ride with lower tire pressure. It just makes it easier because it slows the bike down in a good way. That's all, and it gives a smoother ride. And like I said, the racetrack guys run at really low pressure, 20 PSI and things like that. So, and especially it's yeah. So anyways, that's the Panigale V1 is now back to a V2. So both bikes are running. We're going to be ripping these 3 bikes here next week for Thanksgiving break. So we'll have some videos with that. And so this didn't cost me anything, but during that time I did put a new chain set, which is the rear sprocket, the front sprocket, and the chain. So that was $1,000, and I did put 2 new tires before. And the tires are about, like, you know, $250 for the back and about $180 it comes out to about $600. So this bike's like brand new. It's got basically a new engine. it's got a whole rebuild engine. Actually, the whole thing's been rebuilt. It was all taken apart and put back. So the whole bike's been rebuilt. And then that's when I had them throw the new chain on. So the whole mechanical part, it's got brand new tires, brand new chain and sprocket, basically brand new engine, and it's been taken apart and put back together. So it's in awesome shape. And then this bike, of course, runs like a champ. No issues. It's got new tires on it. I just put new tires on my bike, so we got new tires all around on all the motorcycles. And then I'll do. I think I did some videos on my new Honda CRF 250F that I rip around. All right, slow rider out. Have a good day.